Ramayana too.
No, this ready recognize system. One is pending.
Sir, why they are pending every day 1 month? They have sent both work order for. Sir, ಯಾರು ರಾಮಾಯಣ ಇನ್ನು ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ ಆಗಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಮುಂಚೆ ಜಾಯ್ನ್ ಆಗಾರ? ದಿನೇಶ್ ಸರ್.
So what is planned for student?
ಇಷ್ಟು ಬೇಗ?
Hello. चाहिए ना PPT. हाँ PPT. Last time you were there. So your agriculture background. Horticulture. Okay, from where? Okay, fine. So yes, last time we discussed. Yeah. Yeah. Last time we had one orientation class. So last time we discussed. So what is the exam pattern of UPSC generally? But again, so why optionals are important? Firstly, so because the thing is that, see, this year's result, have you seen? How is the agriculture optional? Huh? Is agriculture? Yeah. So how are the marks? See, the average marks what actually came. (260 to 270 is the average marks this year's. The second rank is from agriculture background, isn't it? So two of my friends, one I guess he got 440 rank, and one is 570. This both they got with agriculture optionals. He got 275 marks, and because of this marks he was in the list. Because in the GS 1, 2 and 4 he got very less marks, but because of the optionals he was in the merit list. Yeah, of course he was in the service, so he won't get the higher service, but anyhow, because of the 270 marks he got in the list. Firstly, have you seen the other marks optionals? See, in the other marks also, what is the problem? Even 240 250 marks people got selected, but the problem is they got in more marks in GS. But now here we are getting the age, so at least average we are getting 260 to 270 marks in agriculture, isn't it? So now the problem is many of the agriculture, they don't take agriculture as an optional, isn't it? So here it's not only for useful for this civil services, but also for the forest services, Indian forest services. So the agriculture syllabus is same when you take the other optional, because in IFOS we have to take two optionals, first and two. So even if you take agriculture as an optional, you can take second as the botany. So botany paper 2 and agriculture 2, it's same. There is no difference. If you have gone through the syllabus, it will be the same. There will be no difference. But the only thing in the botany is that we have to study little deeper. But yes, with the same study, we can go for the botany as an optional. So for this, both civil services and IFOS, agriculture optional is very much important. Okay. It's not the case actually how much people they take the scale and all these things. Okay, because the thing is that as I told you last time also, because agriculture is a technical subject. Technical. So someone asked you, so see, we'll just It's okay. So because of the technical in nature, what is the problem? What is the issue again? So someone asks you to write the characteristics. So what are the characteristics of weed? You write it 10 characteristics. Who will cut your marks? Is there any linkage? So when you go for the other subjects, say for the political science or the PubAd, okay, any other subjects where you have to give the linkage, geography also, okay. But in this agriculture, you have to write only these points, nothing else. You don't have to link the subjects, topics with other topics. Okay, yes, but current affairs relevance you can add. So last year, the question was why zero tillage has become important in India nowadays. Okay, so the zero tillage. So what is the reason for that? Zero tillage. It's an old concept. We know what do you mean by zero tillage, but you have to add the relevant data in that, relevant information. So you have to link it with the current affairs. So see, the problem is climate change. Climate change. Again, the other issue is food security. Food security. Then again, the issue is pesticides, insecticides, chemical fertilizers. And because of this, what is happening? The health of the soil is deteriorating nowadays. So we are coming with the new concepts called as zero-based budget farming. So in that, zero tillage is one of the component, isn't it? So that's why the zero tillage has been asked, but it has asked me in the context, in the current context. Not, we don't have to add the old data. Yes, you have to explain the old concept also, but why it is important from the current perspective right now, why the agriculture needs now zero tillage. So again, if you go for the zero tillage, what we can do, we can conserve the soil, then water, and also CO2 sequestration. So these 3 points are very much important when you write the zero tillage. But again, what is the thing? Only we will write the zero tillage. What are the advantages, disadvantages? No, but the current relevance, why it is asked be in the current context. So you need to have the understanding of the current knowledge as well. So when you write the answers, so here again, the current issues are very much important when you study for the agriculture. It's not that you'll just go through the question paper and you go and write in the answers. You study, go and write answers. So 90% of the syllabus, you will just read it from the textbook or the reference material. But again, the thorough understanding of the subject is needed. Thorough understanding of the subject is needed. If you don't know the thoroughly the subject or the topic, you won't be able to write the answer. Because the thing is that it's a technical in nature. Firstly, the technical data, the technical terminologies you have to use. Say, for example, you're writing about the genetics. So what do you mean by cell? The definition of cell. Okay, fine. You know the definition of cells. But what are the different organelles of the cell? So what are the different organelles of the cell? So when you write the different organelles of the cell, so what exactly you have to write over there? So each organelle, say for example, mitochondria. So you write the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. But why it is called as the powerhouse of the cell? We just mentioned powerhouse of the cell. It in the degree it was okay. But the problem is now you're writing the UPC means. You're not writing the graduation means. So why it is called as the powerhouse of cell? Mitochondria, why it is called the powerhouse of cell? So what is called? Synthesize again. So store the ATPs. So again, what is the thing? So yes, also it has also role in inheritance. Is it inheritance? It has a role in inheritance as well. So we generally don't know these things. Generally we forget. What we just remember, mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell, sufficient. But again the thing is that it is also important for the inheritance, isn't it? Do you remember? No. Okay. So maternal effect. Have you heard about maternal effect? Maternal effect. So when the union of male and female gamete takes place, the nucleus comes from both parents, but the chromosomes comes cytoplasm comes from the female plant. It comes from the female plant. Okay, and this mitochondria is present in, it's in the cell. Okay, see, this is the nucleus. Okay, but what is this part is called is the cytoplasm, and here you have the mitochondria. This part comes from the mother. Okay, but in this mitochondria also you have some DNA, genetic material you have, and that leads to inheritance. And because of that, what happens, the maternal effect, why we call it as, because the females, whatever the characteristics are there, they inherit in the offspring. So it is called as maternal effect, and you have to write in this mitochondria, isn't it? So these are the things we generally don't know, or generally we fail to write. Okay, fine. So again, I said about means this year prelims, actually 5 questions. Last time I discussed one or two questions in the classroom itself. I think so. The question was on SRI, system of rice intensification. I discussed in the last orientation class the SRI method and SSI method. Both the concepts I explained, and the question was asked on the SRI method this year. So again, in the prelims, the relevance has been increasing. Okay, few of the questions you can tackle it easily, but few you need to understand the concepts. Again, the question on the rice, it was asked again this year. Again, what are the different nitrogen fixing plants? Nitrogen fixing plants, isn't it? So the question again was asked on the nitrogen fixing plants. So the general students who don't have agriculture background, or they don't study the agriculture, they won't be able to mark these answers correctly. So we have the advantage of 5 questions here. 5 questions mean 10 marks, isn't it? So what is the expected cutoff this year? Last year it was 87. It was 87. So most of the students, they won't be able to solve all the 5 questions. They are able to solve only 2-3 questions, but we can have the age of all the questions, all the marks. Okay, again, it will help you to clear the prelims. This year the cutoff is expected below 87 marks as this year. Why? Because the paper was comparatively tough as compared to last year. So when you study this agriculture, the 5 questions, they five to 6 questions, they are coming directly from the agriculture firstly, and also from the ecology part. Generally basic questions are not coming more, but again, the ecology part, they ask the questions. Yeah, see, when it comes for the ecology current affairs, the questions are tough, I know, but the problem, basic questions are also coming, which can be related to agriculture as well. So it's not that completely we can relate to agriculture, but something is relevant to agriculture. The second is biotechnology. Any questions from biotechnology this year? DA, yes. So those questions can be asked from this thing. Okay, biofilms was there, the question was asked. So something you can understand the biotechnology, it can help you in the prelims again. So the agriculture, what we feel generally is not that useful, but yes, how much it is useful, you know. Fine. Okay, yeah. See, last time also we discussed what is actually the thing, importance of agriculture, the scorings. It is a scoring subject. As I told you, the generally students score on an average 260 to 270 marks they are scoring nowadays. So at least you can score 250 marks. See, when you have the knowledge of basic agriculture, you can score marks, but it won't go beyond 200. Because what we generally do, we generally write the simple answers. But the problem again, don't go for the technical details. So here again, what we need actually is the technical. It is to break this barrier to increase more than 200 marks. So if you have a basic idea also how to write the answers, see when it comes to the UPSC, it's all about answer writing. So when you write the answers, this is your paper. So the question will be here. So you need to write the introduction part, the body part, and then conclusion. So generally we don't do this. Okay, so how to write the introduction, how to divide the body according to the demand of the question, and what to write in the conclusion. When it comes to the paper one, you should know exactly what should be added in the conclusion part. See, for example, you are writing the question on soil or the reclamation of the soil. So generally it is expected to write all the reclamation practices for acidic soil, for the basic soil, or the alkali sodic soil. All the reclamation methods you need to write. But the conclusion part, what you will write? Again, what you will write? Suggestions is fine, because reclamation is nothing but the suggestions, isn't it? So when it comes for the reclamation, you have to add this, add gypsum, add lime, scrapping, flooding, and all these things you will be adding. Okay, fine. But what exactly you will be writing in the conclusion is, what are the government schemes with respect to soil? Soil health card we have, isn't it? Again, so the fertilizers we are coming with, nano urea. Have you heard about it? Nano urea, isn't it? Because see, the soil is affected anyhow because of the excess use of the fertilizers. When we add excess fertilizer, the soil health deteriorates. But when you add this kind of things in the conclusion part, it gets some authenticity. You get half of the mark, at least half of the mark more as compared to other students. Okay, so how many questions you need to write in mains? So what is the number of questions you need to write? Yeah, anyone? First and fifth question is compulsory. So you will be getting 5 short notes here and here. Yes, yeah, from the section A, again you have to choose at least one, and from B at least one. So from here you can choose 2, this, or 1 plus 2. 1 and 5 is the compulsory questions. And again in first and fifth question you get 5 questions. It may be short notes or the 5 different questions, which is asked for 10 marks. It is for 10 marks. So what is again the pattern for the questions? Question number 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8. 3 questions each. 3 questions each for 20 plus 20 plus 10 marks. 20, 20, 10 marks. The question is generally been asked. Okay. So now sometimes they ask you to write short notes, which may be 4 into 5 means 20 marks question you will be generally get. But the thing is that in the first section you will be writing at least 8 questions. Say for example you write from the section A 8 questions, and from the section B you write 11 questions. So if you are able to increase your marks by half only, I'm just telling half mark in each question, so it will be around 10 marks. So 10 marks in paper 1 and 10 marks in the paper 2, your score increases by 20 marks. Your scoring increases by 20 marks, but we generally don't focus on these things. So you have to write, you have to draw some diagrams, you have to draw some maps. Okay, now the question has been asked on the same example. Say for example, explain the acidic soils. What is the acidic soil and how the reclamation has to be done? So what generally we do, we generally only start with the definition of acidic soil. Definition of acidic soil, how acidic soils are formed, formation of acidic soil, and then reclamation. Okay. But the thing is that if you draw in India map, say for example, you draw India map and you show which are the regions where the acidic soils have been formed. At least you can get a half mark more, isn't it? At least half mark, because why? Your presentation is very good. Because your presentation is good as compared to the other students. When you draw some diagrams, say for example, they have asked generally all that's problematic soils in India. So you can just say acidic soil and basic soil. So instead of writing the percentage, if you draw a pie chart showing the acidic soil and the basic soil, same thing we are writing in the different form, isn't it? So which will look good, this or this? Presentation. Okay, so these things we generally don't follow in the exam. So that is the problem. What exactly we have to do, we don't know. So you have to think. So take for example, again they're asking you to tell the control measures for the stubble burning. What are the methods to control the stubble burning? Now what will you tell? Convert into the fertilizers, biomass, and all these things. Okay, but again the current affairs, you know, the current affairs things. Yeah, chemicals are there. Musa has come out with the chemicals, the happy seeder, which can be used to sow the seeds even in the crop residues. Okay, it's okay. The field is filled with all the crop residue, but farmers don't have to burn it, because why? We have a happy seeder for it. So it's the current affairs questions. Again, you can just add it over there. So again, what you're adding there, something current related things. So anyhow, you'll be getting more marks. Why? Because your answer is something different from the other students. Okay. So those are the things what exactly we have to understand when you write some answers. Answer is nothing but the presentation of information in a well structured manner. The presentation should be good, and the content what you are giving it. Last time also told, something data you have to add. Say for example, data. It should be have some facts. Then you can go for some examples or the case studies. Case studies. Say for example, you are writing some question on the last year. The question has been came sustainable management of the resources. Last year only the question was there. How you will go for the sustainable management of the resources. So take for example, you are writing the point of the forest, conservation of the forest. Just give the example of the Chipko movement. Chipko movement, or you can just water conservation methods. So write the exam. Rayagan Sindhi is one of the best example. You can find it in NCRTs. Every NCRT you will find this example of the water conservation. But the thing is that you need to understand how to write the answers. Everyone will have same knowledge. Everyone will read BD Singh or the Fundan Singh. Everyone will read the degree notes. But how your answer is somewhat different as compared to the other students. Because of these things, you have to keep in mind. So answer writing practice is also that much important when it comes for the means. Yes, government policies, as I explained to you, soil health card, you need to add that, isn't it? Soil health card is there. Then again, the drip irrigation, you are writing the answer for the drip irrigation. Pradhan Mantri Krishi Sinchay Yojana. You can add those points. So those are the points which you should add when you write the answers for the mains. See, when it comes for the second paper, most of the things you don't need to go for the current affairs, but it is restricted to some part. See, when it comes for the genetics, breeding, crop physiology, most of the points will be same. What you read from the textbook, you will add the same thing here. But again, the problem comes when biotechnology, horticulture, seed technology, again Yes, PDS, the last topic of the second paper. It is totally last topic of the paper 2 is completely current affairs or the GS, you can say. So there you need to understand what are the food security related topics. What are the generally food related schemes of government of India. It may be PDS. Okay, Antyodaya Yojana. What do you mean by Antyodaya Yojana? So when the question is asked on the food processing, for example, food processing industry in India. So which is the scheme for food processing industry in India? You will generally write, okay, go for the rice, go for the fruit processings, jam, jelly, everything you will write. But something you have to write which is relevant. What is that? Have you heard Sampada scheme? Huh? Matsya Sampada is for what? Fisheries, but only Sampada agro processing. Mega food parks, what it is again. So this kind of things you need to know. So such kind of things, what we have to do, just enrich your answers with this type of things. So when you write the answers for paper 1 or 2, there is little difference. When you write for paper 1, what we have to do, we have to generally write some current relevant things. Yes, for of course for paper this ecology part, it will be same. It will be same. Okay, but the problem is you need to know where to add what, isn't it? So the problem comes there only. You need to understand what things we have to link to this GS1. Sorry, paper 1. Board is not visible, I think so. On Zoom. Zoom पे board visible नहीं है. और sir, कार्तिक को भेज लो. Okay. So the problem is there. Again, when you write for the genetics, breeding, crop physiology, now the questions they are asked in the applied manner. Previously, how it was? Just write what do you mean by linkages. Okay, fine. Now the questions are being asked in that way also. But now more applied questions are also coming. So last time also I discussed the question that you are going for the seed production. So male sterility application was of the male sterility. So male sterility is there. Male sterility. Okay, you are using this technology to grow the hybrid seed, developing one variety. But how you can say which type of male sterile plant it is? Genetic or cytoplasmic? Two types of male sterility are there. Which are they? Genetic male sterility and cytoplasmic male sterility. Two types of sterility are there. So in a field, you have crop standing. You don't know the parents, what type of crossing has taken place, nothing you know, but you have only this field and the plants are grown. So how you will identify the crop is genetic male sterile or cytoplasmic male sterile? Marker is a different thing now. Just go for the basics. So yes, observation, okay, fine. But in the genetic male sterility, are all the plants male sterile? Are all the plants male sterile? Then how much? %50. So such kind of questions are asked. General, I think so before 3 or 4 years back, the question has been asked in this pattern. So see, only knowing the concept is not important, but the basics you need to know. Basic, what exactly it tells. So you can just by heart genetic male sterility means this. Okay, the difference between male sterility and self incompatibility is this. Okay, fine. Different types you need you know, but what exactly that concept means, how you can apply your knowledge to this thing, we don't know. Now why we generally see government is focusing more on agriculture nowadays, because see everything starts with agriculture. Everything starts with agriculture. Previously, how it was, agroecology was nothing but only the application of social principles and the ecological principles to agriculture for the food security or the production of the food. Previously it was there, but now what has been linked? Economics has been linked to agriculture, isn't it? Then politics has been linked to agriculture. International relations has been linked to agriculture. So different concepts, even technology, biotechnology, other technologies, they have linked to the agriculture now. So when it comes for the agro ecosystem, ecology, all these principles has been now linked. It's not now restricted only to the social principles or the your ecological principles which are linked to agriculture. But the thing is that all these principles are now linked to the agriculture. So you need to know, you need to understand what exactly it is. So when you understand these things, no one can get less than 300 marks. But the thing is that how you are writing the mains answers. So answer writing is that much important nowadays. So try to write in that way, try to think in that way. Unless and until you do, see, it's not only for this agriculture optional I'm talking about, it's for everything. Every optionals you have to do these things. The thing is that you can get average mark to 40 marks, you can get to 45 marks, you can get easily. Just go read, understand, remember the facts, remember the points, remember the characteristics, features, reclamation methods. You can remember it, go and write. Advantages, disadvantages, you can get at least 240 marks, near about plus minus 510. You can get it easily. But is this sufficient? Is this sufficient to get a good rank? No. So see, if you are getting near about 300 marks, even in one subject, any subject, GS 1, 2, 3, if you get less mark also, it's completely fine because you are getting in agriculture 300 plus marks. So our target should be 300 marks. So for that, what we need to understand the concepts from the firstly. So try to apply the knowledge, because application is very much important. When it comes to the technical thing, the application part is very much important. We don't do that thing, isn't it? So that is the thing again. So as I told you, scoring, it is a scoring subject now. Generally, agriculture students are getting more marks as compared to the other optionals. Anthropology has came down little bit. From last 5-6 years, anthropology was top. Now the marks, they are been reduced. Have you seen the marks of anthropology? Sociology is still good. Anthropology, it is little bit reduced. PSI are bad. The good marks are 250, 260. Good marks I'm talking about. But in agriculture, the average marks are 250. Okay. So see, the new concepts will be asked in agriculture. I'm not saying that all the things which are in the syllabus, it will only be asked. Few concepts will be asked which are not in the syllabus, but we can tackle those answers, tackle those questions. Why? Because generally the thing is that we are from the agriculture background, so we have learned something to that topic. So you can write at least few questions, few points for that topic, to that question. So that is where agriculture, with the background with the agriculture, it's important to take the agriculture as an option. So it's not only about for the civil services, also for the Indian Forest Services. Yes, see, out of 8, we have to choose 5 questions. 5 out of 8 questions. Okay. Out of 8, we have to choose the 5 questions. So what questions you are choosing? See, generally what now UPSC is doing, out of these 3 questions, what I told you previously, 20, 20, 10. Out of 3, 2 will be easy, 1 will be difficult. The general trend is now that 2 you will understand, you know the questions very well, but 1 will be there which you will be not be confident to write the answer for it. So the problem comes there also. So how you choose the number of questions, it also depends how much marks you get. If you're not able to choose the good questions, again your answers or your marks can be reduced. But the problem is not that. So are you able to understand the concept first? Have you covered your syllabus entirely in a proper way? Have you understood the concepts or not? Those things you have to focus only on those things, nothing else. Okay. Yes. So why agriculture is the technical in nature? So whatever it is, it's there in the book. You just need to go and just present in a different way what exactly is demanded by the UPSC. It's not how we write in the degree, but it's according to the demand of the exam. So as I told you, when you write the answers, structure is important, then presentation part, and third is content. So most important here is the content. Presentation and structuring is the secondary, but important is the content plus context. So question has been asked to one, you are writing the answer for the second, something else you are writing. Say for example, you are asked for the precision farming, but you are writing GIS and remote sensing. Students can get confused if you don't know what is meant by precision farming. It's a site specific management practice, site specific management practice. But the problem is, if he has not completely understood the precision farming, he can write this GIS and remote sensing topic because of the confusion. Okay, he can write, instead of male sterility, he can write self incompatibility. Confusing points again. Confusing points. So what is the difference between meiosis and mitosis? So this point will be written to this will be written to this, because the both topics are confusing, little confusing. Okay, whose basics are not clear, the problem will be that. So the context is also important. So what has been asked, what is asked, and what are you writing, that is important. So addition of some diagrams, flow charts, maps. Okay, you have to enrich your answer with that thing. Okay, so yes, with the science background, you can understand the basics of the agriculture easily. Paper one is easy to understand by anyone with a general humanities background. He can understand the this paper one, but not paper two. Paper two is completely technical. So you need some knowledge of the basics of cell, DNA. What are those things? You need to know that thing. Okay, if you don't know, you won't be able to understand it completely. Paper two. Yeah, it's scoring again important for IFOS, Indian Forest Service. See the questions last year. It is overlapped with GS1, GS3, and also it's also important for the essay topic again. Okay, you have to discuss paper one. Okay, we'll go for paper two. See, as I told you, the current affairs part is important. So this part is very much important for the current affairs, from current affairs point of view. So something is coming up in this part, in the paper one. Now and then it will always become in this part. Current affairs, what are the current trends in the marketing, cooperatives? So cooperatives has been made as a fundamental right. Are you aware of it? Yes, it is a now constitutional provision. So it is now a fundamental right, DPSP. This fundamental right, DPSP. Again, what are the different provisions with respect to the constitution, with respect to cooperatives? So if you link those topics here in the farm management or extension, cooperative farming, it's one of the topic in agriculture in the economics part. But if you link something to this, again an age, but we have to think in that way as well. It came. Okay. Now, last time we discussed about the paper 1 syllabus. We'll discuss now paper 2 syllabus. If you have any questions, please ask. Okay, only 3 of you are there. So, okay. Now coming to paper 2. This part is generally asked in the section A. Generally asked in the section A of the paper. So at least you will be getting 4 questions from this part. If this you are good at, you will get marks in paper 2. This is the most scoring subject, because what is the problem? Horticulture is there, entomology is there, pathology is there. It is an open-ended syllabus in UPSC. See, diagnosis of pest and disease, vegetables, orchard, plantation crops and their economic importance, classification of pest and disease and their management, integrated pest management, storage pest, epidemiology, forecasting, this thing, okay, plant quarantine measures, pesticides, their formulation and mode of action. This thing is fine. From integrated to here, it's fine. But the problem comes when it comes to diagnosis of pest and disease of field crops. Specific crops. You need to understand specific crop. They can ask one question only on one pest, to describe only one pest. So you know storage pest, rice weevil, capra beetle. You know this pest, but the problem is they ask to differentiate between these pests. Say for example, one capra beetle is there, another one pest is there. They ask to differentiate between this pest. So how much you will do? Pest and disease. Which crops you will do? Hundreds of crops, because it's not only about the cereals, it's about the vegetables also, orchids, plants, plantation crops. Which pest and disease you will do? It's highly impossible. It's not completely impossible, but it is very difficult. It's near to impossible to do all the pest and diseases, to learn all the pest and diseases particularly. So again, it is a difficult part. For that, you need to again go for this pest and disease management. So which pesticides has to be applied for the disease, for the pest? Again, learn that. Different varieties. Again, you need to know the varieties for each field crops, vegetable crops, orchids, plantation crops, flowers, everything you need to know then. Yes, previously they have asked. So see, this type of questions they will ask will not be generally asked frequently. After 2-3 years, one question will be asked in that way. Questions are asked, mention the diseases of banana, for example. They will ask banana disease, okay, and write the control measure for that. It is a general question, it's not specific, but sometimes the UPSC has asked to discuss one particular disease or pest. So disease, okay, we will find, okay, anthracnose, you know, the patches are there, necrosis and all these things happen, okay, fine. But when it comes for the pest, what you will write for the pest? How you will write? So only I told you, this is the most scoring part of the, even it looks difficult, but it is the most scoring part of the paper 2. If you know this thing, concepts are clear, you will get more marks. Okay. Now frequently asked question on cell structure, functions and cell cycle. The question is asked frequently. So for this part, Fundan Singh is sufficient. If you want to deeply understand the topic, you can go for BD Singh. But what I feel, Fundan Singh is sufficient for this topic. For this, as well as the breeding, Fundan Singh is sufficient. But you want to learn more about these 2 topics, you can go for the BD Singh. Okay. Now see, synthesis, structure and functions of genetic material, not much frequently asked questions. Generally, they don't ask the questions on this part. Synthesis, structure and function of genetic material. What is the topic? Genetic material, DNA and RNA. DNA and RNA. So generally the question, yes. Yeah, still we have to discuss it. Okay, so DNA and RNA, the questions are not frequently asked. Sometimes they will ask, but not frequently. Laws of heredity, Mendel's laws. Mendel's laws of heredity. These are the laws generally UPC asks again. So here only explanation is not important, but you have to give the examples plus the ratio you need to know, phenotypic ratio and genotypic ratio you need to know. At least monohybrid cross, dihybrid cross, you need to know the ratios. Trihybrid, it's not possible to remember mostly, and they won't ask generally, but monohybrid, dihybrid, you need to know these things. Okay, then chromosome structure, chromosomal aberration. This is important topic. Okay, this is important topic, and this polyploidy, euploid, aneuploid. These both are related to chromosomes only. These two topics, polyploidy, euploid, aneuploid, and the chromosome structure and chromosomal aberration, they are closely related. One is structural change and other is numerical changes in the chromosome. So generally questions are asked frequently on these two topics from this thing. Okay, so again, linkage and crossing over, very easy topic to understand. Theories, you need to understand what are the different theories for linkage and crossing over, sufficient, and their significance in recombinant breeding. So as I told you, so you need to link this topic with the laws of heredity. Last time I guess I explained this, because the problem is when the Mendel's laws were discovered, when he was studying and he discovered the laws of heredity, the problem was he was not knowing about this linkage and crossing over. So what he was saying, the heredity or the inheritance of the genes, how it was in a simple form. One gene will go to the offspring, but he was not aware of the linkage and the crossing over. Because what is meant by linkage? Linkage is nothing but when the genes are closely linked, they will inherit in pairs or in a group. But what Mendel was saying, one gene is inherited to the offspring, but not in a group. So linkage was not knowing. He was not knowing about the linkage and the crossing over. So you need to know this and this thing. It's not that too difficult, but yes, some relation is there between Mendel's laws and the linkage and crossing over. So again, mutation, straightforward question. So yes, but again, the question, applied question can be asked, how mutation can be used in the crop improvement for the climate change. Which varieties can be developed from the climate change point of view. The question can be asked. But here again, you have to see the question has been twisted, but the general theory you have to use the same. General theory you will be using the same. It will not be different because you will be using what in the mutation. Which are the things you will use in the mutation? Yeah, it's the thing what you're telling. But when you go for artificial mutation, so yeah, what are the agents you are using? What are the agents you are using? X-rays, gamma rays, alpha rays, beta rays. Generally, again, alkylating agents are there. Different acids are there. Those things will be used in the mutation breeding. But the thing is that the question can be asked in the another way, but the same thing you have to write. Same thing you have to write in a different format. So for the climate change, what we need? Which are the varieties which we need for from the climate change point of view? Drought resistant again, pest resistant, disease resistant again. Okay, stress tolerant. Stress, you can call it as a stress. High yielding, okay, high yielding is there. And the most important, flooding is there. Climate change. Climate change will also lead to flooding in India. It's not only drought. Because what is the thing? I will tell you one thing. I'll just explain one thing. I will explain one thing. This is Earth. This is equator. Now see, when it comes for the equator, a particular crop is cultivated here. Say for example, rice is generally grown in the tropics, isn't it? In the tropic. But as you go higher in the latitude, the cropping pattern changes. So wheat will come. It's for only example, just example. Okay, different again. The fruit crops, temperate crops will be coming. But what is happening due to climate change? So this cropping pattern or the cropping belts, it's shifting. It's shifting. This cropping belt, it's shifting here. This cropping belt, it's shifting here. Why? Because the temperature is increasing from here to here. Okay. So what was the temperature at equator? It's shifting towards north south. So because of this also, what is happening? This cropping belt, it is shifting. And because of this cropping belt is shifting, what is happening again? You have to develop new varieties which are adapted, modified, will be modified to these conditions. Now here, due to climate change, what will again happen? The coastline, Indian coastline. It's the Indian coastline. Which crops are grown here? Coconut, okay, fine. Coconut. Again, rice. Rice, isn't it? Coastal areas, rice is mostly grown, or the coconut. But because of the sea level rise, what is happening? This coastal area is getting submerged under the water. So what types of crops we need there? Flood tolerant or water tolerant crops. So take for example, because of the climate change, La Nina has been intensified. What happens in the La Nina? What happens? What happens in the La Nina? Huh? Okay, but what is the impact on India? Peruvian currents, they become cold. Okay, okay, they're cold. Isn't it cold or warm? Okay, fine. Huh? La Nina is the cold. But what happens generally? Ma'am, some students are not seeing the board online, but they're not able to. Sorry, where I was? La Nina. Okay, so because of that, what will happen? India will get more rainfall, increased rainfall, and because of this, what will happen? Flooding will take place in India, and because of that, we need some flood tolerant crops as well. It's not only drought tolerant crops, it also the flood tolerant. Okay, because of this, we have to go for the different varieties, and the question can be asked in that way for the mutation, how you will use the mutation breeding to develop the varieties in the form of with the context of the climate change. Just an applied question. It is asked in the different format, but you have to use the knowledge of the basics as well as the current affairs. Okay. Okay. Fine. Heritability, a very small topic. Sterility, male sterility, and incompatibility. Both topics are closely related, but there is difference between sterility and incompatibility. What do you mean by sterility? The pollens are inviable. Sterility means the pollens are inviable, but incompatibility means the pollens are viable, but it won't pollinate its own flower. Okay, its own. That is the simple difference between compatibility and sterility. But this both will be used in the production of seed production. Okay, hybrid seeds, these two will be used, and not only this, the mutation is also helpful for the seed production, for the hybrid seed production. Because of the mutation, what you can bring? Sterility you can bring in the plants. Can you or not? Yes, because of the mutation, what will be happening? You can bring the sterility in the plant, and this mutation, sterility and incompatibility can be used in the hybrid seed production. So this again, you need to understand the concept, how, which are the different methods can be used in the hybrid seed production. So you can write mutation, sterility and incompatibility. Okay. So classification and their application, same thing, nothing. Cytoplasmic inheritance. Cytoplasmic inheritance, just now we discussed. Sex linked, sex influenced, sex limited character. 2017, the question was asked in IFOS, Indian Forest Services. Differentiate between sex linked and sex influenced characters. Differentiate. The question was for 15 marks. And how many differences are there? Only 4 points you have to write. Only you have to prepare one table. Sex linked, sex influenced. 1, 2, 3, 4. 15 marks. And one example for each. So that is why I told you, technical in nature, the points you can't generate. You can't generate more points. Whatever the points are there, you have to write that points only. Isn't it? See, we don't get full marks because there are different criteria to give the marks. We won't get good marks, but at least you can get good marks. Not full marks, but at least good marks you can get. And the criteria we don't know. Anyone don't knows the criteria. What criteria has been used by the UPSC to give the marks? And there has not been any disclosure from the UPSC side. The reason why they give, what they give. Because they UPSC doesn't want the classes to understand the pattern of giving marks. That was the reason given by the UPSC. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. How they can? See, what they released, how many students attempted and how many got selected. That much only they have told. But how is the criteria for giving the marks for each questions? Okay, for example, you have 20 marker question. So how the marks has been given for that question? If you write entire things, but what are the different criteria to give the marks? You will write the same point, he will write the same point, he will write the same point. But there can be slight difference in the marks. You can get 12 marks, he can get 13, he can get 14. But why this? The criteria can be different. So how you present your points? How you write your points? What are the different methods of writing the style? So are you able to explain it or not? Are you able to link the your points to the demand of the question or not? So it may be different criteria to give the marks. Okay, it will not be the same for each question or each subject. It varies. So the criteria is different, the marking criteria. So even it was for 15 marks, you won't get 15 marks, but at least you can get good marks. At least good marks, not below average or the average marks you won't get. But if you write all the points, you can get good marks. Because the paper evaluator, he will be a agriculture background. He knows that we don't have any other points, different points. So from where the student will also know, right? I also don't know the different points, the differences. 4 differences are there. I also don't know the 4 different, more than 4. So how I'm expecting to write the student? Isn't it? You're not a PhD student or a postgraduate student. The criteria is only for the graduation. It's not the PG or PhD. So a student in the PhD, he can write one or the other point extra. But the criteria is graduation. It's not the higher level still. So even if you don't get the out of out mark, but you can get at least a good marks. See, there is more chances to get out of out marks in maths or statistics. But even all your steps are correct, even your answer is correct, you won't get full marks. Even though you won't get full marks. Why? So it has some criteria that we don't know. It has some criteria. Okay. Huh? So yes, this was again related to genetics. Coming to the plant breeding, the history of the plant breeding never asked the question. Please have never asked by UPSC. Modes of reproduction, selfing crossing techniques. 1 or 2 times the question has been asked. Origin, evolution and domestication of crop plants, not asked. Centers of origin, law of homologous, only short notes you will be getting, because the concept is only of half page. Law of homologous, there is not more than that. Crop genetic resource conservation utilization, frequently asked question. Question has been asked frequently, so you need to know that thing. Okay. Application of principles of plant breeding, improvement of crop plants. So what are the different methods of breeding? What are the different methods of breeding? So it is divided into 2 techniques. It is a self-pollinated and cross-pollinated. So the backcross method, mass selection, again pedigree method, bulk method, isn't it? So these are the different breeding methods used for this, for the crop improvement. Okay, so molecular markers, their application in plant improvement. That day I discussed molecular markers. What are different molecular markers and how they are generally used in the application in the plant improvement. So see, for generally take for example backcross method, it takes backcross method 10 to 12 years. 10 to 12 years. But by using the molecular markers, you can reduce it to half or less than that. In 2-3 years only, you will tell the gene has been expressed in the next offspring or not. Okay, so that is use of molecular markers. These are the different pure line selection, pedigree, mass, recurrent selection, combining ability, very important topic. Combining ability. Combining ability. Question has asked frequently, very important topic, little complicated, but can understood. Little attention has to be paid to this combining ability. Little complicated, not hard. Not hard. See, combining ability is nothing but how the genes are being combined together. How different variants they combine together. See, it's the different variants which combine together. We can say variant. So, have you heard about epistasis? What are the again to dominance and all these things? Have you heard? It's nothing but it comes under the combining ability. How the different variants come together and how they combine together to give a good variety, you can say, or how can they express in a better way in the next generation. Heterosis and exploitation, you know what do you mean by heterosis, different types of heterosis, how they are affected. Somatic hybridization, again the biotechnology part is there, this one, somatic hybridization. In the somatic hybridization, hybrids is important, a short note can come on hybrids. Then again the different methods of somatic hybridization and how it can be used in the crop improvement, somatic hybridization. Okay, breeding for disease, pest resistant, very easy topic. Different methods you need to know. What are the breeding methods for disease and pest resistant? Role of interspecific and intergeneric hybridization. This breeding for disease and pest resistant and this are slightly related to each other. Interspecific means, what do you mean by interspecific? Two different species. And what do you mean by intergenetic? What do you mean by intergenetic? Huh? Two genera, two different genera which are not closely related. Interspecific means two species which are closely related to each other. Interspecific, they are not closely related to each other. So what is the problem in intergeneric? This one is easy. This type of hybridization is easy. Okay, with less difficulty you can go for the crop improvement. But take for example, one crop is there, or one variety, or you can say one different species there, and you have another species. When you cross of both, when do the cross of both, what you will get? You will get sterile. You won't get a fertile. You won't also when you cross both of them, it will not be successful. So what we have to do? We have to do breech crossing. Breech crossing, you have to cross this species with this one, and when these genes are transferred here, you can transfer it here. So this should be compatible to cross with this both. So the breech crossing is important when it comes to intergeneric hybridization. Okay, so role of genetic engineering and biotechnology in crop improvement. Again, the question has asked repeatedly. Genetically modified crops. From the current affairs point, the question can be asked. Okay. Now the seed production, this is also frequently asked question. This is also frequently asked question. So what you can do here, you can just take the degree notes for this topic, the degree notes and the handbook of agriculture part. Handbook of agriculture, degree and handbook of agriculture is sufficient for this topic. Okay, if you want to go for different books, you can, but these two books, these two reference materials are sufficient for these crops. Only the thing is that role of public and private sector in seed production and marketing, you have to little bit update with the current affairs part. Role of public and private sector in the seed production and the marketing, little bit update from the current affairs part. So you can refer the ICR website for it. Okay. So IPR issues, WTO issues and its impact on agriculture, current affairs part again. IPR issue, what do you mean by IPR? Which are the different types of IPR? The concept, UPSC has asked one concept in agriculture, sui generis. What does it mean? Sui generis. A dictionary meaning is on its own, of its own kind. There are two methods of the protection of the farmer's right. It's the one given by the WTO, second is sui generis, means of its own. You can, yes. So that is the method of India, what generally we have used for the sui generis. We have come up with our own act. Okay, how the farmers' rights has been protected in India. So the question has been asked on this sui generis method. It is a part of IPR. Crop physiology, again, principles of plant physiology with reference to plant nutrition, absorption, translocation, metabolism of nutrients. So the question has never asked on this thing. Only the minerals, absorption of the minerals, different methods has been asked. Not much more. Metabolism of nutrients, they were not asked generally. Soil and soil water plant relation, it has been asked frequently. Enzymes and plant pigments. In the enzymes, 1 year they have been asked the question. I guess in the C3 cycle, which are the enzymes involved? They have asked one question. The C3 cycle. What we generally understand only the what is meant by C3 cycle? What are the different steps? Okay, which is the first stable compound? So which is the next compound, and all these things we by heart it. Okay, the cycle, but we don't by heart the enzymes which are present, and it was a compulsory question actually. I think so. It was asked in section question number 5 or first. I don't remember, but it was asked for the compulsory. So in this, in the enzymes, the lock and key method is important. You know lock and key method? You know? You forgot. So see, what does it concept means? See, now this is there, our lock door is there. It has a lock. So particular key can open lock, isn't it? So the same concept is there for the enzymes. So particular enzyme can only act on the substrate, on a particular. So what it says, there are different substrates, different substances we have. Okay, so if an enzyme has to act on this, so it has certain specific sites. It has some specific sites. So that enzyme, if it fits on this, then only the enzyme can act on this substrate. So it's just like a something like that. It's given actually something like the diagram is like this, something. Okay, here it should fit. This is the enzyme, here it should fit in this site. Then only it is able to act on this substrate. So this concept has been asked frequently by the UPSC. Key and lock method. Then the plant pigments. Where is the topic? Plant pigments. What are the different pigments? Which are the different pigments? Plant pigments. Chlorophyll, yes. Xanthophyll, anthocyanin. Plant pigment has been asked again by the UPSC frequently. The photosynthesis and the concept. Very important topic. Photosynthesis and the modern concepts and factors affecting it. Very important topic. This and respiration topics are very much important. The different cycles in that, you have to by heart the cycles. You have to practice the cycles. Okay, PS1 system, what is the PS2 system? The differences has asked us frequently by UPSC. What is the difference between PS1 and PS2 system? And the photosynthesis and aerobic anaerobic respiration. Photo respiration is also one of the concept which has been asked. It is not mentioned here, but we have to learn the photo respiration concept also. So here C3 C4 calm mechanism. C3 and C4 has asked frequently but not calm. Calm cycle has not been asked. So the calm generally it's present in which type of plants? Desert plants. You can say the cactus plant or the desert plants. The calm cycle is there. C3 and C4. Cereal maize. So how you can differentiate the C3 plants for C4 plants? Based on the light respiration. You know thumb rule. Thumb rule of to identify C3 and C4 plants. What are the examples of C3 plants? Cereals. Okay. And what is the example of C4 plants? Okay. Productivity in C3 or C4 is less. And why C3 is less? Photorespiration. So if the photorespiration is absent, the crop will be more efficient or less efficient. Why? What do you mean by photorespiration? Respiration taking place during the day. So if the respiration is taking during the day, so plant will require more energy during day, isn't it? So it will be more efficient. So it is, yeah, it is utilizing its own energy during the photorespiration, because in the respiration, what is happening? The breakdown of the molecules is taking place. So whatever the plant is producing the material or the food material, it will get breakdown during the respiration, isn't it? So if it is breaking down, so what it will give to us? It is utilizing its own for its own only. So here again, the carbohydrates, protein, fat metabolism only asked, I think so, 1 or 2 times. That too after 2010, only one time they have asked. Before 2010, it has been asked, but not after 2010 much. Growth development, growth and development, easy topic. Theories we need to know. Photo photoperiodism and vernalization. What is the difference between photoperiodism and vernalization? Light. So what happens in photoperiodism and vernalization? What happens generally? Both concepts are related to flowering of the plants, but it's related to photoperiod. Short day, long day, neutral plant. We will be learning in this photoperiodism, isn't it? And in vernalization, what is the effect? Effect of the temperature. It's the effect of the temperature on the flowering. So vernalin is the florigin and vernalin. These two are the different pigments which are developed, which are necessary for this flowering. It is generally said. So in vernalin, what we generally do, we soak the seeds in ice or the cold temperature. It's the cold treatment what we provide to the seeds. After providing the cold treatment, what we do, generally we dry for a certain time. We should not dry above optimum level. It should be moderate level. So if we sow those seeds, if it is treated with this cold temperature, what will happen? The flowering will be easy. Early flowering will take place. Okay. So what is the application of this vernalization? Is that the crops which are not grown in a particular environment or the condition, it can be grown over there. Say for example, wheat is a rabi crop. It is grown in the winter season, isn't it? Why it is coming in the winter season? Because it needs some cold climate for the flowering. So when it gets some cold climate, so what is happening? Vernalin, a pigment, is developed in the crop and it leads to the flowering. But if that wheat crop is treated with something cold treatment, so we can grow in another season also, or the in the place where it is generally not grown. So that is the general application of the vernalization. Photoperiodism, short day, long day, day neutral. So what do you mean by short day plant? Where the sunlight requirement is less than 12 hours. But it's not about the sunlight, it's about the night. Actually, it needs long nights, not shorter day. When we say short day plants, it means the plant needs more night. It doesn't need less amount of this daylight, but it needs darker period, longer darker period. And it's not that for all continuous 4 months it should be in the dark. It's not that. It depends on the plant to plant. Some plants it may take 1 or 2 days. Some plants it may take 10 to 12 days. So this period they should give the long nights, or the when it is the long day plants, it should get 1 or 2 or 10 to 12 depending on the crop type. It should get that amount of light. Okay, so it is again depending on this crop type of crop, and it's not so if we say 100-day plant for wheat, 100 to 110 it generally requires for wheat plant to get maturity. But it's not that all the 100 days it should be in the dark or in the light. Only few days it should get that photo period. Okay, why it is necessary? Again, for the flowering. So photo periodism and vernalization has been asked. Photo periodism has been asked again and again by UPSC. Then plant growth substances, auxin, gibberellin, ethylene. Again, it has been asked. So specifically can be asked, or the difference can be asked when it comes to plant growth regulators and their role in crop production. Physiology of seed development and germination, very important topic. It's actually part of this crop physiology, but it is also studied under seed technology. Stress physiology, drought, salt, and water stress. So here we are not looking after the development of the varieties, but we are seeing what exactly happens during the stress period. So what are the changes happening in the plant during the stress? Say for example, drought is there, salt the amount of salt increases if a plant is grown in a basic soil. So what will be its impact on the crop? So how crop modifies itself? So what are the different changes it is doing in itself to adapt to this stress condition and during the water stress also? Okay. Stomata, it is not mentioned, I guess. Okay. Now again, horticulture, again, a very big topic. So we can't focus on all the plants, on all the crops, all the vegetables, all the fruit crops. Specific we have to study here, because generally UPC is not asking more than 8 to 10 crops or 8 to 10 vegetables or 8 to 10 flowers. Only this much crops we have to, specific crops we have to study it here. Yes. Cultivation practices, specific, generally in this horticulture, what they ask, specific cultivation practices or the a particular package of practice specifically to tomatoes. For example, staking we do in the tomato, pinching we do in the flowers. So what exactly those are the specific package of practices or the cultivation practices with respect to this crop or this flower, they can generally ask. Okay. So package of practices of major horticulture crops, protected cultivation and high-tech horticulture. What does it mean? Greenhouse technology simply. Okay. Post-harvest technology and value addition of fruits and vegetables. Here what we'll be doing, processing of the fruits, vegetables, whatever it is, it comes under this. Generally the question has not been asked, only a broad term has been asked, post-harvest technology or the value addition of fruits and vegetables, generally they have asked. Then landscaping and commercial floriculture, medicinal and aromatic plants, role of fruits, vegetables in human nutrition. So here these are the small topics. This medicinal and aromatical plants, they have not asked the questions. Okay, rarely they have been asked, but landscape and commercial floriculture questions will be asked. So how to increase the shelf life of the rose? Okay, so yeah, post harvest losses also will be asked. So the how the packaging of the roses has been done for the export, they will ask generally these things. So if you want to export the flowers, so what are the different package of practices you will be utilizing? The question will be asked in that way. Okay. Then again, this is again a part of our pest. No. Yeah, pathology and entomology. I discussed earlier. Okay. Now this is mostly related to current affairs part. This is mostly related to current affairs part. The food production consumption trend in India. So before the independence, pre-independence and post-independence. So how was the trend? So also after the post-independence, the trend has went on changing. After the Green Revolution, before Green Revolution, the trend was different. After Green Revolution, the trend was different. After economic reforms, the trend was different. And the present context, the trend is different. Now, presently we are focusing more on the proteinous food, milk, meat, eggs. We are just focusing more on those foods. Previously, it was cereals, isn't it? The trend before Green Revolution, it was completely different. So after the economic reforms, again it changed. So this is the trend, consumption trend, what we exactly will be studying. Now food security and growing population, Vision 2020, a separate document we have, that we have to study it here, a separate document of the government of India. Now you can say this is irrelevant topic because now we are in 2022. Okay. Reasons for grain surplus, different what are the reasons? India's food production, it's not only about the procurement is the secondary part. One thing, because of the new technologies are coming, Green Revolution, you can say, different genetically modified organisms, not the varieties, different varieties we are coming up, high yielding varieties we are using, and all these things. The different technologies, the cultivation practice we are using now, the modern methods of cultivation we are using. It's not now subsistence farming. Now we are going for the intensive farming. So the reasons for grain surplus, national and international food policies. So what are the national food policies, different international food policies? So what are the food policies for FAO, in the WTO? What are the different policies we have to learn? Then production, procurement, distribution constraints, Food Corporation of India, specific to that, availability of food grains. So how it is, per capita expenditure on food. So these are mostly current affairs questions or the general statistics. Here we have to mostly focus on the statistical part, but it will be asked. So the question can be asked from this part, role of NGOs and all these things in the first as well as here it can be asked. Okay. Yes. So these were the paper 2 syllabus. Any doubts in this? Yeah, quarantine they have asked. So quarantine measures, how quarantine method is being used. They have asked the question. They have asked. This is the book list. This is the book list generally for paper 2. But again, all the books are not necessary. All the books are not necessary. But yes, these books are needed. Now, seed science section from handbook of this agriculture plus degree notes. Degree notes you need. Degree notes you need. Pandansinna, you can go for the plant physiology. Degree notes plus Pandansinna. Few topics are not covered in the degree notes for this plant physiology. So Pandansinna you have to refer. So one more book is there. What is that book? Don't remember that book name actually, but Pandansinna generally we refer. Okay. So handbook of horticulture, we have some selected topics from handbook of agriculture. The biotechnology part is there, seed science is there, then economics and extension part we can do from the handbook of agriculture. So textbook of applied entomology from the DS Reddy. DS Reddy is a small book, you can refer that, but it's in a short form. Okay, it's not been elaborated much, it's in the short form. Diseases of crop plants, it's the G Rangaswamy. Then again, the book is not needed. If you have degree notes and the degree manuals, it's sufficient. If you have degree manuals also, it's completely sufficient. You don't need to buy this book. Handbook of agriculture. Okay, this is the horticulture and handbook of agriculture. From horticulture also, from the handbook, we need some selected topics. Fundamentals of agriculture, Arun Katten. Only few topics, ecology part and all these things will be studying from the part 2. And the introduction to agriculture, AK Vyas. It is the basic book which covers all the syllabus. It is only in the concise form. It can be used for the revision part. Okay. So any questions in this? What? Yes. Okay, you don't know that thing. Okay. So what is there in paper? Huh? Yes, yes, I will take some paper. Where to minimize this? The PDF. The other PDF. Okay, here. This one. So see, paper is divided into two sections, section A and section B. In each section, we'll be having four questions. How to use this? Okay, section 1, we have 4 questions. Section B, we have 4 questions. So this section from section 1, question number first is compulsory. Okay, you have to write it, you have to attempt it compulsory, but out of 8 we have to attempt 5. From that 5, the question number first is compulsory, and from this section B, section B, this question number 5 is compulsory. You have to attempt it. Yes, all the sub questions. So 5 questions will be coming for the question A, question number 1 and question number 5. 5 questions will be coming. Each will be for 10 marks. These questions are compulsory. You have to attempt it. Okay, you have to attempt it. But again, you have to attempt 3 questions. So out of that 3 questions, at least 1 question should be attempted from section A or section B. At least 1 question. So from section A, you can attempt question number 2, 3, or 4. 1 question you can attempt this, but if I attempt only 1 question from section A, you have to attempt at least 2 questions from section B. If you attempt section from section A 2 questions, you can attempt 1 question from section B. You can't attempt all the 4 questions from section A and question number 5. You can't attempt in that way. Question number first and 5 is compulsory. You have to attempt it. You don't have any other choice. You have to write it. Section B, but at least 1 from each, other from each. So from question section A, at least you have to attempt 2, minimum 2. Question number 1 and any other thing. Yeah, excluding first question, you can attempt 1 question, 1 more question. But if you choose only 1 question from section A, 1 plus A, any other question, 2, 3, or 4, from the section B, 5 plus 6, 7, 8, whatever it is. Getting? Okay, at least 1, yeah, at least 2 questions you from here and there, and one more question you have to attempt it. It can be from anywhere. Okay, so generally the questions will be asked in this format. So the first question and 5 question, all the questions will be 50-50 marks. All the questions will be 50-50 marks. So each question will be again divided. First question and 5th question will be having 5 sub questions. Each question will be having 10 marks. See this. So here you will be getting 1, 2, 3, CD here, 5 questions for 10 marks. So when you come down, the pattern for question number 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8 will be same. So here it will be 20, 20, 10. It will be 20, 20, 10. Sometimes the pattern can be changed. 20, 15, 15 they can ask. 20, 15, 15 they can ask. Okay. So question number 2 same, question number 3 same, question number 4 same, again 20, 20, 10. No, word limit is there. Every will be having the word limit. So it's not that it's not mentioned, but you will be getting the limited space. Space will be limited. So generally for 10 marker, we go for 150 words, isn't it? For 15 markers, we go, yeah, see, 150 words. Describe the following in about 150 words. 10 marker is there, 150 words. 20 markers will be 300 words. 15 marks comes 250 words in that pattern, because for the 20 marks they generally don't give the word limit. Again, as I said, it's the word limit. It's not that you have to maintain that word limit. Yes, you can't exceed it. You can reduce the word limit. Because why? Because of the technicality, you have to write limited answers. As I explained earlier, sex linked and sex influenced. So how much you will write? 15 markers, 250 words, but not even 100 words you can write. At least 110, 120 you can expand it, but not more than that. So you can't breach the word limit. You can reduce the word limit, but you can't exceed it. Okay. So I guess it is 2011, 2022 question paper. So just we'll see 2021. The major ways for sustainable management of natural resources. So you have to write the major ways for sustainable management of natural resources. But before writing the ways, you have to give the definition of the sustainable management. It is the introduction of your question. So what do you mean by sustainable management of natural resources? You can give your introduction. Sustainable management of the resources means this: optimum utilization, so it can't affect the future generations need. So it will fulfill our needs as well as the future generations need. So it won't be a threat for the resource. Okay. So what are the different ways? Say for example, you are written 10 different ways: recycling, reuse, waste management. Okay. So we have different ways. So water conservation, soil conservation, you write all the ways. Afforestation is there again. Huh? So you write all this. Renewable energy, go for the renewable energy. Shift from the fossil fuels to renewable energy. You can write the examples also for each point. Examples for each point. So take for example, you are going for the afforestation. Afforestation is nothing but one of the management practice for the forest, isn't it? So you can write examples. Social forestry, different case studies we have. One person in Majuli Island. Where is the Majuli Island? It's in Manipur or Assam. Brahmaputra River, remember? It's the Lamjau. Cable Lamjau. It's a floating in the Manipur in the Loktak Lake. It's a different. But here Majuli Island is the river and island. So we have a river. I don't know where. No, I want to highlight actually. It's fine. No, it's the check mark only. Okay, fine. No issues. Okay. So there one person has planted so many trees. Each day he will go plant 1 or 2 trees. So such kind of case studies you can add. Examples. Yeah. Water harvesting, rainwater harvesting. You can give the example of Chennai. Chennai, you can't build a house unless and until it has water harvesting system. So such kind of examples you can give. Renewable energy, India's initiative for the solar energy. You can just add the examples over there. So whenever you are writing the ways for sustainable management of natural resource, it's not only writing the points, you can add your examples also there. It justifies your point. It is authenticated. So something you can understand what are the different ways to manage the sustainable resource for the resource management, natural resource management. Okay. Second is the improved agro practices for production of quality food, protein maize. Now the problem here is that quality protein maize is the word. So generally what we do, we generally get confused which is the different types of quality protein maize cultivation practices. So here what will be there? So quality protein maize. So what will happen if different package of practices we use, the quality will increase of the protein, the protein content will increase in the maize. So there will be specifically 1 or 2 points only which is useful for the increasing the quality protein in the maize. Normal POP you have to write. Package of practices you have to write the normal, but the varieties are different. So special any package of practices you have to add that thing. Nothing else. So it is only for the confusion. Only for the confusion. Okay. Social forestry and various schemes related to social forestry. Straightforward question, but you need to know the different schemes. You can add state government schemes also. It's not only about the central government schemes. You can add the if any Karnataka government schemes are there, you can add those things also. Okay, it's not only about the central government. You can add any other state government schemes for the examples. The major weeds of rice and their management practice under both upland and lowland conditions. Always repeated question, rice wheat combination, question cropping pattern, major weeds of rice, upland and lowland package of practices for the rice. Frequently asked question. Frequently asked. Biofertilizers and the major constant in popularization of biofertilizer. Major constants. So biofertilizer, firstly, what do you mean by biofertilizers? Different examples of the biofertilizers. Their advantages you can write, but what are the problems for their popularization? Why they are not popular among the farmers? Slow work, okay, fine. A poor farmer or a farmer who is going for subsistence farming, will he able to afford the biofertilizer? Firstly. Secondly, if he is illiterate, will he able to understand the biofertilizer? Accessibility is there? No. Marketing is there? No. That much of the production of the biofertilizer is taking place? No. So these are the different constants. So marketing constants is there. The social constants are there. Economic constant you can say. So different constants are there because of that. Okay. So this first and fifth question is compulsory, as I told you. From this second, third, and fourth, at least you can write one question. It's compulsory to at least write one question from second, third, and fourth. So see, what is greenhouse effect? Write in detail about various greenhouse gases and their impact on the crop production. So the greenhouse effect. So see, when it comes to the climate change, it's not that the climate change or the global warming is entirely harmful for the crop production. It's not entirely harmful for the crop production. Some of the crops yield is also increasing. Wheat and all these things, when the temperature is increased a little bit, the production is increasing. It's not that entirely harmful. So what is greenhouse effect? Write in detail about various greenhouse gases. So what are the different greenhouse gases you have to write, and their impact on the crop production? How greenhouses impact the crop production? Straightforward question is there. In environment, you may not read it, you may not learn it from the GS part, but from agriculture part, we have a separate topic of the greenhouse. So we have to understand it. Okay. So what is the role of new agriculture technologies and market policies in crop diversification? So you need to know different technologies, which are the different technologies for the crop production, and the market policies. So different market policies. So you can add the MSP policy here, importantly. Okay, so what is the trend in the market? Again, the trend you can add because the crop diversification. So what is the export import policy of India? So you need to add there. Okay. Discuss the activity and selectivity of herbicide. Straight simple question is there, but here if you see, as I said earlier, so you can write this and this question easily, but the second question, will you able to write properly? No. The same thing will be there for third, fourth, sixth, seventh, and eighth. Two questions will be easy, one will be little confusing. You have to decide whether to go for that question or not. See here, what do I understand by agroforestry? Discuss various international conventions and research global initiative pertaining to climate change. But site specific nutrient management, precision farming, it's okay. But what you will write if it is given site specific nutrient management, it is not mentioned precision farming. If a student, if you don't know precision farming itself, so will he able to write this thing? If he doesn't relate this site specific nutrient management to precision farming, will he able to write this question? He can add something from this name, he can add something, but again we have to include the precision farming technology here. So write the steps and recommendations for implementing site specific nutrient management in major cereals. Now again, the major cereals, because of this you get confused. It will be the general answer, nothing else. What are the factors responsible for declining soil fertility? Now discuss various measures adopted for improving soil productivity. Second, define integrated farming system. How can IFS improve the income of different landholding groups? Describe the major biological control methods of weed. So specifically biological control method, you need to know the bioagents here. What are the different biological weedicides prepared from the using biological agents? Yes, all that you need to know. So it is again the technical. Same question number 5 is again compulsory. So here technologies and policies for sustained crop production in rain-fed agriculture. Define ICT, discuss various initiatives to promote ICT in agriculture. So this question is something related to current affairs. ICT, how you can use, how you can promote. So current affairs things you have to add it here, isn't it? So the MSP and its determination. Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana in its progress. Current affairs questions. Parameters for determination of quality of irrigation water. It is easy topic. Again, see here. Define soil erosion in different form. Explain agronomic and mechanical measures. This one is easy. What is irrigation potential of India and how can it be increased through rainwater harvesting? Now, second rainwater harvesting, you can write something, but what is irrigation potential of India? You need some data here. See the third, discuss cooperative marketing with successful case studies. Current affairs questions. Huh? Yeah, you need to add some data. How much is the water availability? All these things you have to combine and you have to write it. Define ecology. Mention its basic concepts and relevance in crop production. How to improve drainage of waterlogged areas. Easy topic. Discuss various approaches of extension. Describe the recent emerging concept in transport technology. Recent initiatives again. Critically examine the major extension programs of agriculture sector in India. Current affairs questions. Discuss the success and failure of agriculture price policy since its inception. Easy there. We'll be studying this question. Okay, this point, and discuss the value addition of forest products. Difficult question again, because we generally don't go for value addition of forest products. Okay. Okay. Any questions? Any questions? Any questions? Okay. So mostly we will be having lectures from next Saturday, because many of the students, they have one lecture in the new building, excellence building. 8 to 10 students are there, so we won't have any lecture today. So next Saturday we'll be having the lectures regularly. Okay, Saturday, Sunday will be our lectures. Firstly, 6 hours, Saturday, 6 hours on Sunday. Test will be conducted when the sections will be completed for the current affairs. Sorry, for the your syllabus means, and also will be provided with the notes. If you want handwritten or the printed, either way you'll be getting the notes. Okay. So if you have any questions, if you want to meet me, you can come. Okay. Sure. Huh? See, it will take at least 4 months, minimum 4 months. It will take. It can increase. It won't come less. It can be increased, but not less. Yeah, Saturday, Sunday will be having the classes. Okay, because many of the students, they have the other classes also on the weekdays. See, six hours per week it will be there. It can be increased, but minimum we are going to take class for 200 hours. So if you go for 200 hours class, mostly the notes will be provided in the printed form, or Xerox will be provided mostly, because this vastness we can't complete within that time. Minimum 200 hours we need. Minimum, I'm saying. It can be exceeded. Minimum 200 hours will be there. Yeah. It will be linked where and there, whatever will be needed. It will be linked, or at the end of the this batch, you'll be getting the topic-wise current affairs things. Kurukshetra is there. You may refer Kurukshetra for agriculture option. You can refer. Yes, and the news you have to refer it. Okay. Chalo, thank you.